We all want change, right? A better life, a stronger self. But how many of us are truly willing to walk through the fire to get there? What if the very moment you commit to a new identity, a new reality, the universe throws everything it has at you, not to stop you, but to strip away the old? This isn't just about belief. It's about the courageous, often uncomfortable, act of crossing over now. Let us go even deeper into a realm so few dare to travel. The bridge of replacement. For what is a new identity if not a bridge between what was and what now is? This bridge is not built with effort, but with consciousness. And yet, to cross it is to walk through the most sacred fire of transformation. Let me be clear. The bridge is not a passive waiting period. It is not a neutral hallway between desire and fulfillment. It's the crucible. It is the terrain where all remnants of the former self are burned away. And unless you understand its nature, you will misinterpret its signals. You will believe that things are going wrong when in truth, the bridge is working perfectly. Every desire sets this bridge in motion. It is invisible at first. Events rearrange. People's thoughts surface. But more than that, your inner world is being recoded, and that recoding will often feel like contradiction. Not because the assumption has failed, but because it is alive. The bridge of replacement does not cater to comfort. It caters to truth. It will challenge every fragment of identity that is not in harmony with your assumption, and your only job is not to interfere. Do not try to control the bridge. Do not try to predict it. Your task is to walk it in silence. You walk it by holding the end in consciousness. By trusting that what unfolds, no matter how confusing or inconvenient, is part of the orchestration. This is not blind optimism. This is divine obedience. To the law, to the order, to the inevitability of your assumed reality. Most people want to leap from current state to desired outcome without walking the bridge. They want the reward without the replacement. But manifestation is not teleportation. It is unfolding. And unfolding requires space, time, and the complete surrender of the previous pattern. Let me speak to you intimately. The bridge will sometimes look like loss. A job ends. A relationship dissolves. A plan breaks. In these moments, you are tempted to return to the old state, to declare, "This is not working." But I tell you now, it is working. The breaking is the making. The loss is not punishment, it is precision. What no longer fits your new identity must be removed. You do not prune a tree to harm it. You prune it so that it may bloom. Do you do on this bridge? You do what the old self could never do. You remain. You walk. You watch. And you refuse to judge the path. You live from the end with such inner finality that the bridge becomes sacred, not stressful. You welcome the discomfort because you know what it means. It means the assumption has taken root, and now the soil must shift to nourish it. On this bridge, silence becomes your sanctuary. You do not explain your path to those who cannot see it. You do not seek confirmation from the external world. You confirm yourself, daily, inwardly, powerfully. The bridge requires solitude, not isolation, not a withdrawal from people, but a withdrawal from needing their agreement. Because you will not be understood by those still clinging to the logic of the old world. Your joy will appear delusional. Your peace will confuse those who live in constant reaction. But that's how you know you're crossing. Let me offer you this. The bridge is made of decisions. Not grand ones, but subtle, consistent ones. The decision to respond as the new you. The decision to pause rather than react. The decision to believe, not because the world shows you, but because you show the world. Your reactions are your rituals. Your inner stillness is your sword. Your vision is your compass, and the bridge is built beneath your feet as you walk. But do not be fooled. This is not a gentle stroll. The bridge may shake. Winds may howl. Shadows may rise. And yet you walk. Not because you are afraid, but because your commitment is greater than your fear, because you no longer identify with the version of you hesitates. This is the cost of creation, full replacement of self. You must surrender the identity that aligns with the old world and become the one who is recognized only by the new. And yes, this may feel like disorientation, like standing between worlds, because that's exactly what you are doing. You are dissolving the bridge behind you as you walk forward. But take heart, no true assumption ever goes unanswered. The law is exact. The new state, once fully occupied, must materialize. The world must catch up to your being. The bridge, then, is not a test of the law. It is a test of your willingness to trust it. To trust yourself, to trust that your inner work is enough. Let this become your mantra. I do not rush the bridge. I do not explain the bridge. I do not fear the bridge. I walk it. With every step, the old world fades. With every step, the new world comes into view. And soon, so gradually you hardly notice, you will find yourself living the reality you once dared only to imagine. And it will feel normal, natural, as though it had always been that way. Because by then, the replacement will be complete, and you will no longer remember the version of yourself who ever doubted. This is the bridge. This is the way. Walk it in silence. Walk it in faith. Walk it as the one who already is. The universe has already said yes. Now it's your turn to agree. We now arrive at the most radical truth of all. In order for the new world to materialize, you must let the old identity die. Not reform it, not improve it, not negotiate with it. You must replace it. This is where many hesitate, because the old identity has become familiar. Even if it was painful, it was known. And the known, even if it limits us, feels safer than the unknown promise of transformation. But hear this clearly. You cannot drag the old self into the new reality. The laws are too exact. The frequency is too different. The new reality rejects all that is inconsistent with. So what must go? Not the outer conditions, those are symptoms. What must be released is the self that was creating them. This is not a surface-level shift. It is a cellular-level transmutation. You do not add new thoughts to the old pattern. You construct a new foundation entirely, and that foundation begins with one sacred question. Who am I now? This question must be answered not with words, but with state, with embodiment, with presence. You must become the version of you who is no longer chasing, no longer doubting, no longer explaining. You must become the one who already is. Let us go further. This new identity must infiltrate every corner of your life. You do not visit it in meditation and then abandon it in conversation. You do not feel it in imagination and then contradict it with your posture, your tone, your reaction. You carry it like sacred fire. You walk with it, eat with it, speak from it. When people see you, they may not know what has changed, but they will feel it. They will respond differently, not because you told them something new, but because you are something new. You must understand that your outer world is not reflecting what you want. It is reflecting what you are. So every time you identify as someone who lacks, who hopes, who strives, your reality must echo that. But when you identify as someone who has, who is already in possession, the world cannot help but conform. This is where true manifestation occurs, not in the longing, but in the replacement. Not in hoping something will change, but in being a change, so completely that the world forgets it ever looked different. Now let me speak plainly. You may lose things. Relationships, habits, stories, even desires. As you ascend into the new identity, anything tied to the old one will begin to fall away. Do not cling, do not explain, do not justify your evolution. Those who are meant to join you in the new timeline will recognize you by resonance, not by memory. Most never reach this point. They become afraid when things begin to unravel. They interpret collapse as failure. But collapse is necessary. The old structure must fall for the new to rise. It is not loss, it is alignment. Think of it like this. If your old identity was a radio tower broadcasting scarcity, struggle, and survival, then every relationship, job, and experience in your life was tuned to that frequency. Now, as you change your station to abundance, peace, and joy, those old connections will lose signal. Not because you are broken, but because you are broadcasting from a different realm. And that new realm cannot receive the old broadcast. You do not need to grieve this. You need to bless it. Thank the old self for getting you this far. But make no mistake, it cannot take you further. You must step forward alone, at least at first. But you will not be alone for long. The new identity will draw in new reflections, new people, new experiences, new evidence. But you must stay the core. Do not slip back into explanation. Do not return to familiar pain just because it is easier than unknown joy. Do not resurrect the old self when you feel fear. Instead, anchor deeper into the new dawn. Create rituals that reinforce your chosen identity. Speak only from it. Make decisions from it. Dress, move, rest, and respond from it. Let every moment become a rehearsal of the real. And when doubt creeps in, smile. Doubt is just the ghost of who you were. It has no power unless you feed it. Acknowledge it, and then return to your end. Your job is not to kill the old self through force. Your job is to starve it by no longer feeding it your focus, your energy, your belief. What replaces it is not an improved version of lack. What replaces it is an entirely new being, one who knows that creation is already finished, one who walks in fullness regardless of appearances, one who no longer seeks but expresses. This is your destiny, to remember who you were before the world told you what you could have, to reclaim the truth you felt as a child before fear distorted, to live not from effort but from essence. You do not need to fight for this. You only need to be this. Every day, rise and declare inwardly, I am the one who already is. I am not becoming. I am. Then walk through your day as that. Respond from that self. When the world tests you, remain that self. And watch, as surely as night becomes day, the world rearranges itself, not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped arguing with your own becoming. Let the old self go. Let the new identity lead. And let your life become the mirror of what you've dared to assume. This is not ambition. This is alignment. This is the way. This is the law. Let us now look at the final and perhaps most advanced dimension of living from the end, embodying the state even in it. Contrast. What happens when your assumption must walk through fire? When you must carry the state not just in moments of ease, but in the face of contradiction. This is the threshold where most turn back. But it is also where transformation becomes irreversible. You see, anyone can dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled when life is cooperative, when the winds of circumstance blow favorably. But the true test of embodiment is not in the ease. It is in your capacity to persist without evidence, to remain faithful to the end within, even when everything outside appears unyielding. That is mastery. What you must understand is that the state you occupy will call forth all that is unlike it, not to punish you, but to refine you. The old reality must deconstruct. The old self must disintegrate. Not because something has gone wrong, but because the new you cannot emerge from a foundation that was never meant to hold it. This period, the contrast, the discomfort, the disorientation, is not a detour. It is the path. It is the furnace that burns away everything false. And your role is not to escape it, but to remain. You remain in the assumption of the wish fulfilled not because it feels good all the time, but because it is true. You hold the feeling of being the one who has already received, already become, already embodied, regardless of what the outer world shouts. Understand this. The world will test what you believe about yourself. Not as a punishment, but as a mirror. When you shift identity, you are not just imagining something new. You are abandoning something old. And that old structure does not collapse quiet. But let this embolden you. The chaos is confirmation. The shaking is evidence. You do not plant a seed and panic when the ground begins to crack. That breaking is not destruction, it is birth. And yet, many mistake this for failure. They believe they must go back to visualizing, to scripting, to trying harder. But once you are living from the end, those things are no longer necessary. They can help shift your state. But once the state is assumed, your only task is to remain, not perform, not explain, not beg. Remain. This is what it means to shut up when you're happy. To fall silent in the face of doubt. Not to repress emotion, but to withdraw your attention from anything that does not support your assumption. The key here is this. Every moment you choose not to react from the old self, you affirm the new self. You shift the pattern. You change the script. Imagine this with clarity. You are living from the state of abundance, and an unexpected bill arrives. The old, you may have panicked, complained, or felt defeated. But the new self, the one who knows that abundance is their nature, does not flinch. You acknowledge the reality, and then you stay grounded in your truth. You say internally, this too is part of my abundance. This is simply the bridge. Now that bridge of incidents will rarely look like what you expected. It will often appear messy, chaotic, even contradictory. But remember, the universe is not interested in your preferences. It is interested in your assumption. It must reorganize all the threads of your previous state. It must rewire the network. And that may feel like disarray before it appears as order. But your task is not to manage the process. It is to live the state. Think of a sculptor who sees the final form inside the stone. They do not panic as the first chunks fall away. They are not disturbed by the dust, the noise, the crumbling. They know it is working. So it is with you. When your world begins to shift, do not interpret it as failure. Interpret it as response. And when resistance arises, internally or externally, do not retreat. Do not explain. Do not deny. Consolidation. Return. Guide. Return to your throne. Return to the feeling. Return to the knowing. Your inner conviction is the only authority that matters. Here is the paradox. The more completely you embody the end, the less you need to speak of it. You become quiet, not because you are unsure, but because your identity has stabilized. It no longer needs to announce itself. It is. And when you live from the state long enough, something extraordinary happens. The world stops contradicting you. The resistance lessens. The bridge becomes clearer, not because the world changed, but because you are no longer reacting to it. You have risen above the mirror. You are no longer rearranging reflection. You are controlling the light. But I must tell you this truth. You will not get to keep the old self and the new reality. One must go, and it will feel at times like a death. The mourning of what was, a shedding of comfort. But what you receive in exchange is incomparable. You receive yourself as you are always meant to be. So live from the end, especially when it's hardest. Embody the state when it seems most absurd. Carry the frequency when the noise of the world tries to drown it out. That is when it's solidified. And remember, no one else needs to understand your journey. The power is not in convincing others. The power is in your silent certainty. You are not here to prove the law works. You are here to embody that it does. Let your reactions become your ritual. Let your silence become your sanctuary. Let your assumption become your atmosphere. In the face of opposition, persist. In the void of evidence, persist. In the discomfort of contrast, persist. For the world must become what you have already become within. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is law. And you, dear one, are its living proof. Let us now press deeper into the final truth we began to uncover, the transformative power of dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. We spoke of joy, of feeling fulfilled before evidence appears. Now, let us examine what truly happens when you shut up in that state, not to suppress your voice, but to silence resistance. This is not the quiet of passivity. It is the stillness of inner mastery. When you truly dwell in the state of your desire already fulfilled, your imagination becomes a living temple. That feeling of joy is not decoration. It is the evidence that you have assumed the state. And that assumption is sacred. It is your agreement with the universe. Most, however, do not honor this state. They feel the joy briefly, and then rush to explain it away. They interrogate it, doubt it, or dilute it with logic. They try to make sense of their happiness, or worse, they seek permission to feel it, but joy needs no justification. It is the sign that your consciousness has entered alignment with your desire. It is the signal that the invisible substance of your world is shifting. The silence I speak of is not detachment from life. It is a luminous calm of one who knows the world is molding itself to match their inner world. In this silence you do not beg, plead, or hope. You know, and this knowing is not of the intellect, it is felt deeply. It is the knowing that precedes all form. Here lies a principle many overlook. Manifestation is not a battle of will, but a surrender into felt reality. The deeper you allow yourself to feel the outcome as already true, the faster your world bends to reflect it. In this surrender you are not passive. You are potent. You are wielding the only true creative power, your imagination, harmonized with belief. Imagine you were already in possession of your dream life. Would you question it? Would you doubt it? No, you would rest in the satisfaction of it. That is the state. That is the silence. That is the law in motion. You must treat the inner scene of fulfillment as sacred space. It is not something you casually enter and leave, only to return to worry. Every time you react to the external world as if it holds the power, you abandon your throne. You step down from the place of creative dominion. You see, reaction is the great thief. It steals your assumption and replaces it with confusion. Every reaction to an undesired condition is a surrender of your power. And so the silence I urge you to practice is not suppression. It is sovereignty. It is the conscious refusal to allow appearances to determine your state. You maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not because you're pretending, but because it is already true in the only reality that matters, consciousness. Physical reality is not the cause. It is the echo. It is the shadow. You must stop trying to change the shadow, and instead command the light within. This is why I say, shut up when you are happy. Because in that happiness, you are aligned with your truth. In that joy, your assumption has taken root. You are creating from being, not from striving. Now let us explore the nature of time in this equation. Many struggle because their fulfillment is not instant. They measure their inner progress by the outer delay. This is error. The delay is not denial. It is the incubation of form. Just as a seed takes time to sprout, your assumption takes time to solidify into experience. But make no mistake, if the assumption is sustained, the harvest is inevitable. Time is not your enemy. It is your servant. But it only obeys the master who does not waver. And so in moments where nothing seems to change, shut up and remain. Remain in the felt sense of already having. Let your confidence deepen in the silence. Let me offer you a challenge. For the next 24 hours, speak to no one, not even yourself, about what is lacking. Speak only from the place of fulfillment. And if you cannot speak from it, then say nothing at all. Practice the sacred stillness. Feel the reality within. Protect it as you would a delicate flame in the wind. You will find that as you hold this state, something miraculous begins to happen. Circumstances lose their power over you. People respond to you differently. Synchronicities increase. You begin to live from the causative plane, not the reflective one. You become magnetic not because you try to attract, but because you have assumed the state that already attracts. You are no longer chasing life. You are being life, and all things are added unto you. This is the mystery of the silence. It is not emptiness, but fullness unspoken. It is not absence of noise, but presence of power. Shut up when you're happy. Not because you should hide your joy, but because you must protect it. Because your happiness is the echo of the assumption. Because your inner smile is the signal that you are living from the end. Let the world say what it will. Let time stretch as it needs. You are not waiting for success. You are dwelling in it. The rest is simply the rearranging of shadows. So tonight, and tomorrow, and every day thereafter, I invite you to practice the sacred art of stillness in fulfillment. Let your joy be private, protected, and pure. And watch how the universe bends, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with who you have always been. For the truth, dear friend, is this: your reality is not waiting to be created. It is waiting to be assumed. Have you ever noticed that the moment true understanding dawns within you, your entire world seems to realign, not just intellectually, but deeply, inwardly in the realm of your awareness? That inner recognition, that awakening, shifts your outer reality with precision. Tonight, I will unveil a truth so transformative, it will rearrange your experience of life itself. And as you listen now, do not merely hear these words, feel them. For even now, the universe is aligning in response to who you are being in consciousness. A network of unseen currents is organizing events in your favor, bringing forth manifestations beyond what you have dared to dream. But here is what most fail to understand. These blessings do not arrive by effort or strife. They are not rewards for your doing, but reflections of your inner state. The universe, my friends, does not respond to action. It responds to assumption. It gives back to you not what you wish for, but what you are in consciousness. This is the great secret. Your world is not something happening to you. It is happening through you. You are not a passive observer. You are the creator, the dreamer in the act of dreaming. What you experience externally is merely your internal reality, projected onto the screen of space. Every moment, you are broadcasting a frequency to the universe, not with words or deeds, but through the feeling state you occupy. That is your magnet, your beacon. If you are steeped in lack, longing, or unworthiness, you merely draw more of the same. But when you claim the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you dwell in the richness of your desired state, everything in the outer world must conform. Let us make this clear. Your reality does not change because you chase, manipulate, or demand. It changes when you assume. You assume the feeling of being that which you long to be. And then the world rearranges itself to mirror that inner conviction. You see, the world you touch and taste is not the source of your experience. It is the echo. The source is within. You are the operant power. Every person, every event, every circumstance is yourself pushed out. The love you seek, the wealth you desire, the success you imagine, these do not lie out there. They live inside your imagination, waiting for you to step into them. Most live their entire lives emotionally numb, awaiting some outer change to quicken their hearts. But the aliveness you seek is not in the future. It is now, if you would but claim it. Think, when was the last time you felt unshakably alive? That vitality was not given to you by circumstance. You assumed it, and in that assumption, your world glowed with the energy of being. The secret then is not to pursue more life, but to feel more life. Not to wait, but to awaken. Not to strive, but to dwell. Tonight, let us go deeper. Your natural state is not struggle. It is expansion. Your destiny is not survival, but magnificence. If you can feel it now, if you can dwell in the state of joy, of love, of abundance, then by law the world must reflect it back to you. It cannot do otherwise. You may say, but my bank account does not show abundance. I say, that is the echo of yesterday's assumption. Change the state and tomorrow's echo must follow suit. And so, I ask you now, what state are you willing to live from? What is the reality you are prepared to embody? Because you must live from the end, not towards it. Your task is not to hustle or fix. Your task is to assume, to be, to dwell, to remain. So when you feel the joy of your imagined wish fulfilled, shut up. I say that lovingly. Silence the inner critic. Silence the voice that doubts, that plans, that worries. Stay in that sacred stillness. Let the joy take root, for in that quiet you are planting the seeds of a new world. Do not rush, do not explain, do not measure your state against the world's timeline. The universe is exact. It will repay you in ways and through avenues you cannot yet conceive. The world is your mirror. Your imagination is the cause, and your assumption is the bridge. So tonight, assume it is done. Assume it is yours. Assume you are the one. Then dwell there. Dwell in the felt reality of your ideal. And when joy arises, do not question it. Shut up and dwell in it. For you are not here to fix the outer world. You are here to create it from within. Creation is finished. Your desires are not to be chased. They are to be assumed. And in that assumption, the universe will repay you in ways beyond all expectation. This is the law. This is the truth. And it never fails. Now go forth and live not from lack, but from the fulfilled state. Shut up when you're happy. Dwell in that joy. And watch as the universe mirrors back your assumption in ways more miraculous than your mind can comprehend.